You're live.
Good evening. Welcome to the 18 September 2023 meeting of the Annapolis Transportation Board. We had a month off. I hope you're all rested and full of energy. It's good to see you again. And we have a quorum, I see, although a number of members are traveling and were not able to join us this evening. Let's begin as we do. We are called to order. The roll call will be handled by Tara by simply looking at the screen and listening to us. And Tara is here, yes. And so then the agenda was distributed to you. I will take a motion to approve the agenda and any suggested changes that you may have. Is there a motion to approve? I'm hearing anyone.
Motion to approve.
Yes. Second, anyone? You all have your mics off, which is considerate, but I can't hear anybody say anything. Well, I would presume I saw a hand go up, which is the second. All in favor of proceeding with the distributed agenda? Aye?
Aye.
Aye. 1, 2. Okay, I see a approval. So we proceed with the agenda. Tara also prepared and I distributed minutes of the meeting, of the last 2 meetings, which are submitted for your review and approval. I have read them, made a couple of tiny little grammatical changes here and there. So I'm happy with them. So I'll take a motion to approve the minutes of the past 2 meetings.
So moved.
Is there a second? Not seeing a
Come
second.
on, guys, somebody. Step up.
I'm going to insist that you turn your mics on, folks.
Second.
All right, there's a second. All in favor of approving the last 2 minutes meetings? I see a majority. Thank you. All right, so we are in the agenda now. The first item on the agenda is public participation. I have no indication that there is public participation apart from a member of the board who has been nominated and approved by the Transportation Committee for membership. His name is Hugh Hayes, and I think this is probably a good time, since he's still officially a visitor rather than a member of the Transportation Board, to allow Hugh to introduce himself orally to you and give just a word or two about his background and what he would like the board to accomplish and what he would like to move the board to do.
Hey, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Hey, so my name is Hugh Hayes. I live in Eastport with my wife and 2 young kids. I'm really passionate about making Annapolis a better place for public transportation and for walking and for biking. I think everyone knows that Annapolis has challenging geography, that not everyone's going to be able to use a car to make every single trip. So I think the best approach for a better transportation network in Annapolis is a multimodal, holistic approach, so that you can pick the best pick the best mode for every trip instead of just every trip having to be a car. So yeah, I'm really excited to get started and help in any way I can.
Well, welcome. The last 2 steps that you have to take before you're officially on board is an appearance before the City Council. Actually, you don't have to appear, but they will vote on your nomination, which has been forwarded with its approval by the Transportation Committee. And then the mayor will swear you in.
Kurt, would you clarify, will Hugh be at large or representing a certain district? I put him down as at large, not thinking Eastport was already taken, but I may be wrong.
What I did, he is at large.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
All right. And when I get to membership, I'll have a couple of more remarks. So that's the public participation. Next on the agenda was the city.
Can I ask a question?
Indeed.
Mr. Trip Fulton. Do not know him. And he's not listed as a member. So who is Mr. Trip Fulton?
Yes, Trip, introduce yourself.
Sure
I know
thing.
who you are.
I should have done this when I realized you weren't here at the last meeting, Beth. I apologize. I am an attorney at the Office of Law, and I've been assigned to be counsel to the board after I guess Ashley Leonard was formerly counsel.
Yes. What happened to Ashley?
She had too many boards on her plate, so I decided I'd take it from her.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
I think I'm actually I do the ethics commission as well, so I've met Jim a time or two.
You know my husband, yes.
Yeah.
A lot of people know my husband.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah, we had I was personally involved in an ethics problem a couple of years ago, and I'm happy to say it was cleared away by eliminating a piece of law which was finally recognized to be unconstitutional.
Usually for the
You know,
best.
I did
Yeah.
not know. I know Trip was on the last meeting that I wasn't present when I did the notes, but I didn't put you down in a capacity, Trip. But if you could email me your
I
title, that'd be great.
certainly will.
Thanks.
Okay. Then next, we have from the Department of Transportation, both Marcus Moore, its director, and Kwaku. So the Transportation Department is on.
Yeah, Marcus, you want me to go or? Okay. Yeah, this is Kwaku with the Department of Transportation. Just two items as updates. The first one is the microtransit, the pilot microtransit, I should say, which we are at the final stage of selecting a vendor. We have reviewed the technical proposals. We have some folks from the county helping us with that. After the technical proposal review, we also had a presentation, I believe, from the top 4 vendors. So that also has been reviewed. So the committee has sent the evaluation to the procurement officer, which is putting together the list to select which one will be the vendor for the project. So in the next couple of weeks, the procurement officer will make an offer to a vendor to basically start the planning of the microtransit pilot project. The other one is the battery electric bus deliveries. If you do recall, back in December 2022, we issued a purchase order to RIDE. At that time, it was called BYD, to basically build 2 battery electric buses. Currently, the smallest ones that we know of is they are 30-foot long. So this is the one that we are buying. The delivery of those buses are on schedule. They are scheduled to be delivered sometime in the summer of 2024. So these are the 2 updates that I have for the board. If anybody has a question, I'll be glad to answer.
Yeah, thank you, Kwaku. I have a question. The 2 electric buses are the first electric buses that will be put into service. Is that correct?
Yes, please.
All right. And they're both made by BYD, a Chinese firm?
The BYD is a Chinese company. However, they do have a large manufacturing company here in US in Lancaster, California. And that is where they build the buses.
So that's a BYD subsidiary in California for domestic production. Is that how it works?
I believe so. I don't know the details of it, but we are piggybacking on Washington State contract for this particular procurement. So we do direct solicitation. So apparently they did actually meet all FTA requirements to be on the Washington State contract. And we are using federal dollars mostly for this procurement. So I believe they are all FTA compliant with regard to Buy America and everything else in between.
Yeah, BYD is coming on strong. First in China, but they are branching out internationally. I think they are just a hair behind Tesla in terms of the number of electric vehicles produced. And the expectation is that their production will exceed that of Tesla very soon.
And that is correct. And I also believe that their batteries actually have much longer range that they are going to produce for their various vehicles. So we look forward to working with them. We are very much excited by these 2 battery electric buses.
Okay, well, thank you.
Sure.
From the city, we normally hear from the Transportation Committee too, which is chaired by Alderwoman Karma O'Neill. She can't be here tonight. Sometimes we have other members attend, but so they're not here. Karma did send me a note saying that there's not much that she has to report on premium parking. I'll say a word about that in a minute. The sidewalk is going in on Farragut Road. I guess it was installed already from Admiral Heights to the stadium. And then there's a sidewalk study on Taylor Avenue to occur in the near future. That's all she had. I'd be interested in remarks on premium parking. I don't know if this is the place to do it. I wonder if any members of the board used the 2-hour free parking provision, which is available theoretically at the Hillman Garage?
I used it
I
just
have not.
once.
You did. Did you make it work?
Yeah.
Okay. And could you educate us on what is necessary? You have to enter a code which was provided to you and your license number. Is that correct?
Yep.
All right. Now, my question, I raised it and I haven't had an answer yet, is why is it not possible for their electronic scanners to read your license plate, link it electronically in the computer to the permission that has already been granted, and just do the whole thing without your entering a single code?
You would think, right?
Yes.
I mean, the technology certainly exists, especially for low speed plate reading. So should be easily attainable, but
Yeah. Yes.
The residents have a lot of questions about why the software for premium parking is so difficult, antiquated, hard to get by, hard to understand, all kinds of things, when we know that it doesn't need to be. And it's something that the residents don't get any kind of answer from the city. Nothing. It's what their concerns are of no value as far as we can tell for the city. Did you see the cartoon in Sunday's paper?
No.
The Capitol? Just a second. Maybe I can show it enough.
Premium parking is I raised a question, and I don't want to raise dark suspicious conspiracies, but
Can you read this? See
can
it?
you share your screen? Oh,
I don't
no,
know
I guess
how
you
to do
can't.
that.
No, never mind. You can't do
Okay.
that. I can't see that. No.
Okay, you can see that Buckley is on this side and a residence on this side. What it says is, Mr. Buckley says, the city council and I are making excellent progress in, and then the resident says, doing nothing about your parking authority complaint. And that is the God's honest truth.
Well,
So
we have an
that's where we
opportunity. If we are motivated to list questions and complaints of our own to the city, I think we should do it. It's kind of our job.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely, and I could provide a lot.
all right, would you be willing to gather remarks, questions, complaints, and frame them for approval by the board for transmission at a future time?
Yes, I will.
All right. And I authorize you to appoint members from our board to help you. And please volunteer, anybody who would like to get into this.
Beth, I don't have the passion for this that you have, but I'd be more than happy to read it to, I don't know, make it more cogent and hopefully actionable items. If that's possible. I know we often get, I would rather have it be things that we think could be accomplished than more complaint oriented. I don't know how more politely to say that.
Yep. A good point.
I will tell you this, there's 6 residents in both districts that are working together that are attempting to get some changes to the parking. One of the things we've done is we've created a petition that we sent out, and you may have signed it, Tara. Over 500 people in residents have signed this petition, and it's based on things like, making the app more user friendly and various things. So I certainly can send you some information, Kurt, and ask you what it is you would like to follow through on.
Okay, let's each of us get in touch with you as you prepare a draft for us.
Okay.
Thanks, Beth. I started to say something. I don't mean to raise the specter of dark conspiracies, but the nature of the contract between the city and Premium Parking is important in the sense that it has incentives built into it. I suspect, but I don't know for sure, and I would like to check it by looking at the contract, that every time a 2-hour resident parking privilege is not exercised and it is charged to a credit card instead, is money that flows into the contractor's pocket, not into the city's. And
Yes.
so there may be an incentive for the contractor basically to drag his feet on this thing. And I'd like to find out if that is the case, and if the incentives are upside down, we could make a recommendation for correcting them.
Well, and one thing we have found out is the city could actually remove Premium Parking from the contract if they're not performing and put in someone else, another company. One of the things that they have done
As an operator, there's a financial arrangement. I don't want to get too deeply into it.
I know what it is.
That they raised the money, didn't they?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
but we didn't watch
All I
last
know
night.
is the city could, if they aren't performing, they could remove them from the contract and then get a different company in the contract. So it's just, do they really care that the citizens have as an easy time or or not? And so it's what it all comes down to some degree.
Okay.
That's it.
Great.
I could
Well,
go on forever about
thanks.
this.
We will come back to that. The next on the agenda is board membership. Both Vince Harriman and Charles Brooks were.
Kurt, I'm sorry to
yes?
interrupt. Marcus or Kwaku, my screen just switched on me, had their hand raised, either because they wanted to comment
Yeah.
on parking or had a question.
Yeah, about the parking, I believe, Partha, correct me if I'm wrong, that the agreement is between AMRP and the city. However, if a city is not happy with the premium through AMRP, they can make some changes. So I
Yeah.
don't think at this time the city has a direct agreement with premium parking. It's a subcontractor to the AMRP that brought them on to manage the new parking garage, just for clarification. But Trip could check into that.
That's helpful. So
yeah.
the financing is through AMRP and the subcontractor to them is premium parking.
Yeah.
Yes, please, for the management of the garage.
Gotcha. That's great.
Kwaku, I
ma'am.
wasn't implying that the city went directly to premium parking. I was just trying to quickly say there was a way that it could happen, but
Oh, yes.
I know that it's part of AMRP.
Yeah, there is a way that it could happen. Yeah, I do agree with you, Beth. Yeah.
Okay.
That's all
Thank
all I was saying.
Great. On board membership, Vince Harriman and Charles Brooks have been recommended for reappointment by both the mayor and the Transportation Committee. And their reappointment is with Hugh Hayes for his first appointment, going to the city council the next time they meet. We presently have 3 vacancies, one for Ward 5, one for Ward 7, and one at large. Because so much time has passed, both Wards 5 and Ward 7 slots, according to our bylaws, can be filled by individuals from any ward. They do not have to reside in those wards. So if any of you have nominations or that you would like the mayor to consider, please let me know and we will forward them. Okay, next is old business. On bicycles, I have one disappointing thing to report. We had recommended and had forwarded a draft resolution to the city council that they tell the state that they favored a change in the state law regarding bicycles on sidewalks. And I thought that was sailing through, but it turns out that Alderman Savage had a problem with it, and they have tabled that resolution. I'm very disappointed in that. His argument is the following. Let me just retrace steps on this. When we took it up, both Anne Arundel County and the city of Annapolis had provisions that either made it illegal to ride on sidewalks or had provisions that were very unclear about whether bicycles were legally able to use sidewalks. And the state law mandated that bicycles were forbidden everywhere in the state unless the locality passed local legislation permitting it. And so we made 2 recommendations. We made a recommendation to the city that they clean up their code, which they did. And we made a recommendation to the city that they tell the state to reverse its position, which they did. And everything was fine except that, and it passed the House of Delegates 2 years in a row. And 2 years in a row, it failed to be taken up by the Senate. There is no opposition to this, as nearly as I can tell. It just simply was not acted on. They didn't get around to it. And so our latest resolution was to ask the city to remind the state legislature that we still wanted this. We think it's good policy for the state at large, but the Senate has not acted, and we recommended that the Senate act this time around, the 3rd time around. Alderman Savage's position is that we don't need to do that anymore because the city of Annapolis has fixed it. We no longer have any interest. It's not our business to worry about the state. I disagree with that. The city would not have had to take up this legislation at all had the state already been reversed. So I will write a note to that effect, but it's kind of a personal disappointment. Anybody have any thoughts, feelings on this point? Okay.
I don't quite understand his reasoning. I don't know what has not been fully disclosed, where he feels the city has addressed this and the state no longer needs to. Could you just state a few more words on that, Kurt?
Yeah, I will. I may not have been clear on that. There was a problem in both the state and the city. The state did not fix its part of the problem, but the city did. And from Alderman Savage's point of view, since the city fixed it, and since city residents can now use our sidewalks as we think they should be able to, the city no longer has an interest in anything that the state does, and should not be even recommending to the state that state law be changed. Is that clear?
Yeah. Okay, I got it.
And my point of view is that we wouldn't have had to change our law had the state law been right. And we think it's good public policy. We are members of the state, but Annapolis is in the state of Maryland. And indeed, we do have an interest in what state law is generally. So that's my view.
Yeah, and further, when you go to draft a letter, if you're riding a bike, say on West Street, and you traverse the county, right? You leave our jurisdiction and you're going out to parole or whatever, you're no longer protected. So, the continuity of the law and
Right.
its application becomes.
Well, Anne Arundel County, in fact, did fix it too. They picked up our recommendation.
Actually, first.
Yeah, they picked up our recommendation and acted even before we did in the city. So
Sure,
they
but-
are fixed.
But the comment is, it remains the same, that you could be in one jurisdiction 1 minute and another jurisdiction another minute.
I agree completely, Vince. Okay, so and the next thing is the Bay Bridge. John Giannetti. Yeah,
Kurt, can we go back? I had my hand up about the
I'm not
sidewalk
seeing these
issue.
hands for some reason.
No, we're not.
Oh yeah, there you are, Zoe.
Okay, sorry, my video is not working. While we're on the topic of the bicycles on sidewalk issue, as you recall, I did have some concerns when we voted that through, and we're considering it as a board for recommendation.
Mhm.
And I haven't looked at that language in a long time, but since you brought it up, I thought I would check to see if you know the status. There was sort of a recommendation in what we passed that talked about it's not universal that every sidewalk is open to bicycles in the city of Annapolis.
Correct.
That if sidewalks were to be, we intended that there would be an analysis done by the city to determine which sidewalks would be safe or which sidewalks would be not safe to open to sort of co-use by pedestrians and bicycles. And I don't know if the city's followed through on implementing that recommendation.
Yeah, I don't think they have, and one wonders from a practical point of view whether it's even essential. For example, take Main Street. I think this is self-regulating in the sense that nobody is going to ride a bicycle down a Main Street sidewalk. There's just so many people all the time. So it may be self-curing in that sense. But if there are places in the city which are more questionable, then I agree. Some analysis, some action has to be taken by the city in those cases to post no bicycles on sidewalk signs.
Right. I don't think I don't want to leave it as it's self-regulating, because I specifically I endorsed our approval of that under the assumption that we would be requesting the city to do some analysis on where it was safe to ride bicycles and where it was not. So I will follow up on that, but I just wanted to bring that to folks' attention and see if anybody was still tracking that, because I am. Or I'm going to retrack it and
That's
find out
great.
where we
Thanks
are
for
on that.
volunteering to do that.
Yeah, we have, as you know, I represent the Naval Academy on this board, and do have, some significant number of midshipmen out running, and obviously we have our own issues with them taking over sidewalks and, and getting in the way of walkers and bicyclists. So but we do want to ensure that we have safe running routes and walking routes in and around the installation and in the city. So I
Okay,
just want to
great.
put that on the record. Thanks.
Thank you. At a meeting which I did not attend, but I guess John Giannetti raised the recommendation that we lodge a position with the Bay Bridge, on the Bay Bridge, that bicycles ought to be included, a bicycle path ought to be included for any new bridge that is built. And I had asked him to prepare language to that effect, and he did not. So we may have missed that opportunity. I know a number of other organizations have made a recommendation that any new bridge should have both pedestrian and bicycle paths installed as a part of the bridge construction. We didn't do that. I'm sorry we didn't, but the word has been submitted by many other organizations. Next item is electric vehicles. Does anyone have anything on the subject of electric vehicles? I have an observation. Just before I appeared at the meeting of the Annapolis Transportation Committee, I checked 2 garages, the Knighton garage and the New Hillman garage, and there were a total of 4 non-charging vehicles plugged in, or occupying electric vehicle charging spaces. And so it is apparent to me that the signage is still bad in some places and the enforcement is 0. So this may be a continuing problem that we have to come back to. There are small numbers of electric vehicles still, but it will become a serious problem as the usage increases.
Kurt, when I walk downtown, I walk around the Hillman garage and I walk around the side where the charging stations are.
Mhm.
And I see the same thing. I look every time because it's right there. All I have to do is look down,
Yeah.
and I certainly see cars being charged, but I also see cars sitting there that are not being charged. And I have to wonder why they park there, because there's so much parking. Now, granted, they're on the first level and maybe they just pull in and say, I'm going to park there, but you can't miss that they're charging stations. There's big charging stations sitting right next to the parking, and they're crossed, they're slashed off on the cement and all this kind of stuff. I mean, you'd be pretty hard pressed to not know that's what they are.
Yeah.
But I have noticed the same thing, and I've wondered about enforcement.
Yeah, Kurt, I just wanted to note that your observation is not strictly logically true. It could be that the signage is excellent and that the people that park there in spite of the signage.
Yeah.
Which I think is a thing, unfortunately.
Yeah, I ran into a situation where it was definitely a thing. It was purposeful. I was down in the Shenandoah Valley of Virginia, and I checked out a charging station in a hotel parking lot, huge lot. It was essentially empty, but there were 2 very large pickup trucks parked in the only two charging stations in the parking lot. And what was going on in their brains. There is an anti-EV psychology out there. It's very peculiar.
You were in the Shenandoah Valley.
Yes.
Yeah.
That'll change, but we will have a year or 2 to get through it. All right. So much for electric vehicles. For new business, 2 ordinances have been sent to us by the City Council for our review and recommendations. Ordinances 3023 and 3123, affecting special residential parking districts. And I would like somebody with special interests in parking to take the lead on reviewing this and drafting recommendations by the board to the city council on those ordinances. The principal characteristic of these two changes in law are to, well, the most important thing is that detailed specifications are largely removed, and the authority for determining what precise rules will apply on a certain street at a certain time is left to the city by regulation rather than being written specifically into the law, which I think is probably okay. I'm unfamiliar with most of the parking districts myself, and that's why I would really love to have one of you take the lead on this. The only thing that I saw was in West Annapolis, the parking districts as they exist will continue to exist. And in my personal view, half of West Annapolis ought to have no parking district at all. We have abundant parking everywhere. But,
Okay, can you just tell me what parking districts are affected by these two? One is obviously West Annapolis. What's
I
the
believe
other
it's all
one?
of them, all of them.
Oh, all of them.
Yeah,
I'm saying they're both West Annapolis.
no, only one
No,
of them.
they're all of them.
I think there are 5 parking districts, and this language applies to all 5 parking districts, some of which clearly have a need for regulation. In my view, West Annapolis does not, but that may be a minority view.
But is it that this changes to be more fluid?
Yes, that's part of it. There may be other things too, and I frankly have not looked at it closely enough to even be able to describe the law very accurately. So
I'd like to review them before I comment.
Okay, well, if you could mobilize us to comment fairly quickly. It's gone through first reader, and so it has to go through 2 more readers, but we should get our comments, if any, to the city probably before the council meets next.
When?
That would
is
be
that?
3 weeks from now.
That's it?
Beth,
2
I'll
weeks
join
from
you in that, and we can do it by email, have some
Yeah.
conversations.
I think we almost all, anybody that can read them should read them. I mean, if we can all get to it, it'd be great.
Yeah, it would be great to make a statement. I mean, it could range to everything to we have no comment to we feel everything proposed is perfect, and we recommend you pass it, to this is terrible, start over again. It's really up to us. Okay. New business. Is there any other business that anybody on the board would like to raise or introduce? If not, let's do our usual round robin with comments, specific comments that any of the individuals might have. Edward Bergman is not here. Zoe is. Zoe, do you have anything to say?
I don't have anything additional to add tonight.
All right.
Just glad we're
Tara
back in
Ashmore?
action and can think about our next year worth of agendas.
Oh, good. Tara?
It's not really for the board, Kurt, but when you do your electric vehicle trip, this will not be in the meeting minutes, but we recently did it with a rental in the Netherlands. And I would encourage you to research where the fast charging stations are, who owns them, and download the app and pre-register for the app so that when you get to the charging stations, you can actually be quite efficient in getting your vehicle charged in the fast charging stations. There seems to be challenges in the apps. They will send you to charging stations, but they will not be fast charging stations. And so you sort of need to research who owns the fast charging stations and use their app in order to find the best location to go recharge your vehicle. I just give you that as a gift.
Yes.
Good luck.
I'm curious, where in the Netherlands were you?
We were in Amsterdam, and then we crossed over into Belgium and went to Bruges for a while as well.
I see. Yeah.
And we
I lived
were
there for a
on the
year,
side of the
so
road
I'm
thinking
very
we were never
fond of the
gonna.
Netherlands.
Yeah, well, and if it wasn't for this kind man who told me exactly which rest stop I had to go to get to this particular charging station. And when we got to that charging station, there was both a BP and a Fastnet charging vehicle, fast, you know, where you could do it in an hour or less.
Mhm.
One was not functional, and the other, you couldn't use an American credit card on the English language screen. You had to revert to the Dutch language screen to enter your American credit card. So we were there a little while. So
Yes.
I encourage you to figure out where you're going to charge the car ahead of time, download the apps, and be pre-registered.
Good advice. Now, there is an app in the United States called PlugShare, which is kind of the go-to resource for locating and describing charging stations all over
But
the
that
country.
sounds to me like those are slow mode charging stations.
PlugShare is a database. It lists everything and describes it.
Okay, will it just filter for the fast ones?
You can filter it as you like. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's very good. But you're right, there's a multiplicity of charging options with little standardization, and all networks apart from Tesla appear to be unreliable in the United States. And I have a Tesla, and they always work, and they're fast. They're at
And
least
you can
100.
find stations. I mean, I was even in West Virginia, and they had a flank of 24 charging stations in West Virginia for anybody that was driving through at a hotel. Yeah. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, they're up to 250 kilowatts now. That's fast. In 15 minutes, you can go. All right. Taylor Waters is not with us tonight. Beth is. Beth?
I don't have anything more.
Okay. Tom Schock is not with us. John Giannetti is not with us. Charles Brooks is not. David DeQuinzio.
Yes, good evening. Can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, good. This headset is working, which is great. Yes, well, it's been a very interesting summer of developments that nationally that I've been following, but locally worth noting is the first construction contracts have been let. Of course, Tara already knows about this for the major tunnel project in Baltimore, the rail tunnel project, which will eliminate a major bottleneck where trains traverse tunnels first built in the Civil War era. It's amazing that those tunnels were built so well with the technology they had back then. And also like to add a special welcome to Hugh, because I am also an Eastporter. Looking forward to connecting with you at some point. But one thing I will follow up our meeting with that's worthwhile is a very good article that appeared on Bloomberg City Lab about a transit opponent tactic that has been used frequently over the years, including here in our county, where as soon as a new transit project is even proposed, the opponents start making noise about how crime is going to go through the roof because of the transit investment. This article delves into recent research that basically proves that that is a trope, not a serious, that rhetoric is just that. There's no science behind it, and I will send that out.
Oh, that's great.
The other thing, Kurt, I do have something on electrification, but it will come across as a plug, so I'll let you. It concerns what we're going to be exhibiting for the first time at the boat shows coming up. If it is inappropriate to raise in this or to share in this forum, I'll defer to you.
No, I think if there are new developments that we should be aware of, please tell us.
Well, it does tie in with what the mayor has been pushing for. one of the things we've done, Sally and I have done this year, is cross the bridge into boat sales. So we are now fully licensed by the DNR to sell boats. And the reason we've taken that step is we've been asked to in some cases, but also that with more new boat options coming out, who better to give good information to people who might be interested in buying electric boats and people who've been working with electric boats for 14 years. So at this year's Powerboat Show, we will have available for actual demo rides a boat called the Ingenuity EL2, and its power train, if you will, is basically the same thing that's in the Lucid or the Ionic. So this is a big step for us. We have not worked with EV technology in boats before, but it is conceivable, although we have much work to do, that as we develop our relationship with that manufacturer, we might be able, I'm hoping, that they will allow us to buy that whole powertrain, the batteries, the motor, the controls, charging, all of it, and make it available for new boat projects or repowering. So someone said, you know, I'm tired of my big diesel engine that emits foul stuff and makes tons of noise. Does my boat have enough room? Now, the answer is not always, but there are some boats where it's feasible to do this approach. And so it adds another tool to the toolkit. So it's worth noting that this technology is advancing, and the concept of using and tapping the R&D that's already been done for EVs and moving it into the marine market is well on its way. And there are other new boats coming out into the market that are based on that approach.
Do I understand correctly that there are now production power boats that are sold ready to go? It's not a retrofit situation anymore?
No. The Ingenuity is new. It is a new boat, fully equipped with electric.
Wonderful.
And Pure Watercraft is making progress on theirs. They've actually begun building a production facility in West Virginia. The Ingenuity is built in Tennessee. The design team is down in Orlando. There is a builder of classic Chris Craft style boats that also, I mean, these are beautiful. They look like they look like works of art. The craftsmanship is really incredible with these things, and they have that sleek wood look, you know, the old Chris Craft style boats if you Google them.
Are they all electric, or do they typically have onboard?
No, these are traditionally have been diesel powered or gasoline powered boats. So
but there's no diesel generator or anything on board?
No, these are all pure electric.
I see.
But
Are
with
there
the
any
EV
production?
battery,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but with the EV battery platform, they can go all day at decent speeds.
Right.
Right, because they don't need they don't, we're not propelling, you know, these powertrains can propel a car at 70 miles an hour. We're not going 70 miles an hour.
Yeah. Are there any production sailboats?
There are some, but
Okay.
not here in the US. There have been some false starts.
I know there's a Scandinavian firm that had nice regenerative
yes, the
system.
Arcona.
Mhm.
And there's a dealer here in the US trying to promote that boat. J Boats has been in and out of it. But I think they may be coming back in with something electric that you can order. But now over in Europe, there are dozens of boats now that you can order. And some boats sold here I don't know quite why, but South Africa has emerged as the sailing capital production or the sailing catamaran production capital of the world. Big sailing catamarans, more and more are built there. And HH and Antares are two builders that will now install a hybrid that you can order with a hybrid rig, designed and put together by a guy in the UK who has spent almost 30 years developing this electric parallel hybrid. This is a mechanically integrated hybrid and diesel engine with an electric motor,
I see.
mechanically integrated, which is a very difficult engineering problem to solve. And this guy just refused to quit. And now that's a possibility too. So we're making progress in marine, making progress.
I did follow presentations, YouTube presentations on one boat, which was pure electric. It had regeneration and for very long passages of a global scale. Yeah, the wind charges your batteries regeneratively through the propellers, and that sounds so slick. It really does.
And it is a very difficult engineering problem in and of itself. But that's now even available in some electric outboard motors for smaller boats, for smaller sailboats.
Great. Thank you, David. Vince?
I don't have anything. I did want to say welcome, Hugh Hayes. It sounds like you're speaking our language, or at least my language. So
Yes, indeed.
welcome
We
aboard.
are the choir. You may preach to us, Hughes.
That's right. Welcome.
Hughes, do you have any Hugh, do you have any final any words?
Nope, I'm just really excited to get started, and yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, I have nothing else.
Kurt, I'm
Yes,
so sorry. Qualifying question. You mentioned 4, 5, and 7 having vacancies. Did
yes.
Giannetti move from 5 to at large?
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that.
I think Giannetti has 5, so I think we have 4, 7, and 1 at large.
It's 4, 7, and at large.
Yes. Okay.
One is
Confirmed.
occupied by Beth.
Confirm.
Yeah. The agenda has the listing as I understand it.
Right. You had mentioned 4, 5, and 7 being vacant, but Giannetti is District
it's
5 or Ward 5.
Just 4 and 7 are vacant.
Correct. Agreed. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, great. Anything else? If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, second, anyone?
Seconded.
All
Full
right, thank you.
participation on that, Kurt.
Yes. Thank you so much for coming tonight, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you.